Ella Al-Shamahi, The Handshake, A Gripping History. In The Handshake, A Gripping History, Ella Al-Shamahi delves into the deeply rooted origins of handshakes and their cultural significance. This book's summary explores both the practicality and the unifying nature of the handshake, implemented across species and cultures. Though this seemingly universal gesture might have been temporarily abandoned during pandemics, its prominence in conveying goodwill and trust endures. Get ready to learn about the development of the handshake, its various adaptations, and how it continues to be a powerful social tool.
The Hazards of Handshaking. The COVID-19 pandemic has brought attention to the potential risks of the handshake. As a transmitter of bacteria and viruses, the human hand can harbor germs responsible for the common cold and influenza. Alternatives like bumping fists and elbows significantly reduce transmission, with a fist bump reducing the risk by up to 90%. The Science of Handshakes. Handshakes have been a part of human and chimp behavior for millions of years, and the gesture likely emerged from a common ancestor. Despite the COVID-19 pandemic, the handshake is unlikely to disappear entirely, given its historical and cultural significance. Handshakes have been depicted in ancient sculptures, such as the 9th century BC Assyrian-Babylonian handshake, and referenced in works like Homer's Iliad and Odyssey. While the handshake is often viewed as a cultural tradition, some scientists suggest it is ingrained in our DNA, much like language use. While gorillas do not employ the gesture, chimps and bonobos do, supporting the idea that our last common ancestor was a handshake user. The handshake's longevity and cross-cultural significance suggest that it goes beyond mere convention and represents something deeper about human nature. The evolution of the handshake. The handshake is not just a simple greeting but a universal symbol of peace, trust, friendship, and respect. It evolved as a way to extend good intentions without any negative implications. Starting a social interaction with a handshake improves the chances of a positive outcome and diminishes negative impressions. In the past, many tribes had complex greetings that demarcated tribal belonging, but as humans settled in cities, performing time-consuming rituals became impractical. Even isolated tribes used variations of the handshake before contact with civilization. However, some cultures in the Far East do not employ the gesture, possibly due to pandemic's lingering effects. The handshake's simplicity, broad application, efficiency, and usefulness in conveying peaceful intent have made it almost universal. The cultural significance of handshakes. Handshakes are a universal greeting, but different cultures have their unique variations. While the Western-style handshake dominates globally, Ethiopians bump shoulders, the Maasai tribe touch palms, and some Middle Easterners add a hand-on-heart gesture. The handshake's global reign is attributed to the political and military dominance of Western nations such as the United States and Britain. This dominance also explains why the full-handed, firm, one- or two-pump handshake became the norm. Interestingly, all cultures use the right hand for shaking hands, which can be traced back to historical associations with virtue and cleanliness. The left hand was often seen as sinister and reserved for unclean tasks. Cultures continue to evolve the handshake, with some modern variations, such as the elbow bump, becoming more popular due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Despite these changes, the handshake remains a vital cultural symbol that signifies respect, trust, and goodwill. The art of greetings. Greetings vary across cultures and may convey respect, warmth, good intentions, or inequality. Kisses, bows, and curtsies have coexisted with handshakes for centuries. Awkward situations can occur when cultures with different greeting protocols meet, such as when Barack Obama kissed Myanmar's leader or Michelle Obama hugged Queen Elizabeth II. The handshake's success may be due to its relative propriety compared to other tactile greetings. While traditional greetings still endure in some parts of Asia, the handshake remains the most universal and widely used greeting worldwide. The return of the handshake. Despite its abandonment during deadly pandemics and outbreaks throughout history, the handshake has always made a comeback. Hitler popularized the raised arm salute in Nazi Germany, but it quickly perished with the Third Reich's demise, leaving the door open for the handshake's return. The COVID-inspired fist and elbow bumps will most likely disappear from the mainstream in favor of the handshake once the pandemic has retreated, but only the immediate fear of death or serious illness can suppress our need to shake hands temporarily. Importance of handshakes. Handshakes play a crucial role in building trust between individuals. It is a natural instinct that humans crave touch and feel, and in some cases, handshakes have even closed business deals and built political connections. The hands and fingers are densely packed with sensory receptors, making shaking hands much more enjoyable than alternatives like elbow bumps. Handshakes allow individuals literally to smell the other person and derive vital social information, such as their mood and intent. However, the COVID-19 pandemic forced an abrupt halt to handshakes, which caused people to suffer from skin hunger. As highly social beings, humans require physical contact, which releases feel-good hormones in the brain. Although handshakes rank lower than hugs in the touch hierarchy, they foster social bonding and relieve stress. Handshakes may carry risk in certain situations, as exemplified by the tragic case of William McKinley. The art of handshaking. Handshake etiquette is a skill that can make or break your professional career. According to Yale University, the key to a proper handshake is civility, symmetry, egalitarianism, and warmth. Using a handshake as a power play or show of dominance is a mistake, and never use more than a gentle pump or two. Watch videos of Donald Trump shaking hands and do the opposite. His tendency to crush his counterpart's hand repulses many, and even during the COVID-19 pandemic, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson announced his intention to keep shaking hands, which led to him contracting the virus. Remember, it's crucial to shake hands with a clean, dry palm, and make sure the other person welcomes the gesture. If in doubt, let your counterpart make the first move, extending your right arm downward at a 45-degree angle with a firm but not crushing grip. A firm handshake is particularly vital for women. If you want to own the art of handshaking, keep practicing. The power of handshakes. Handshakes have the power to forge international relationships, convey hope and unity, and challenge societal norms. Throughout history, handshakes have been more than a simple greeting, they can carry significant political and cultural weight. One notable example is John Foster Dulles' refusal to shake hands with Chinese Premier Zhou Enlai at the 1954 Geneva Conference, which contributed to a period of tension between the US and China that lasted for 2 decades. In contrast, when US President Richard Nixon extended a hand of friendship to Zhou Enlai in 1972, the relationship between the two countries began to improve. Handshakes have the ability to convey hope and unity, such as Nelson Mandela's emotional handshake with South Africa's rugby captain Francois Pienaar, which symbolized a new era of hope in post-apartheid South Africa. In 1987, Princess Diana's handshake with AIDS patients challenged societal norms and helped to change public attitudes towards the disease. Additionally, handshakes between world leaders have marked significant turning points in history, such as the 1985 handshake between Ronald Reagan and Mikhail Gorbachev, which marked the end of the Cold War between the US and Soviet Union. On the other hand, Adolf Hitler's handshake with Neville Chamberlain in 1938 famously symbolized betrayal and naivety. Overall, this book explores the power of handshakes in shaping history and our perception of political and cultural events. The enduring legacy of handshakes. Despite pandemics and hygiene concerns, the handshake has endured through history as a crucial form of human connection. With alternatives like the fist bump and curtsies having their drawbacks, the physical act of shaking hands is ingrained in human culture. Whether it's due to tradition or hardwired into our genes, the handshake will continue to persist and remain a vital aspect of social interaction.
Having uncovered the extensive past and prominence of the handshake, our journey reveals that this ancient yet simple gesture is a symbol of connections, peace, and goodwill. Despite temporary wanes in its use caused by pandemics, and the adoption of alternative greetings in some cultures, the handshake remains predominant throughout the world. The practicality of the handshake, combined with satisfying our inherent need for touch, plays a major role in its endurance. One thing is certain, the handshake's roots are deep and resilient, and its use will continue to transcend eras and borders.